Today it is Sunday, May 26th, 2024. On the calendar, everything's new, everything's different now. So I begin again. I have begun again and again and again in this lifetime. We begin again in this new moment. No more stories. This is now. So I say what I'm feeling, and that opens the dialogue. But you learn over time, over practice, let's say, repetition, that in order to ignite this resonant connection, you have to speak deeply and truthfully. And that's been years of a process for me. I have already spent many years passing on this tool that was given to me in what appears to be ET contact, interdimensional contact, contact within. So this method of the dialogue is not what I'm teaching now, it's what I'm modeling and demonstrating. At this new phase, which I'm always made aware of in a variety of ways. I've been sharing this for years. And it doesn't become popular in the limited spectrum view. And that's okay. I'm here to do my work, share what I have to share, and I'm not attached to how it's received or not received. That used to bother me big time, but it doesn't anymore. Because I feel the progress, the opening, the expansion from practicing the dialogue as given to me by this intelligence that speaks to us, through us, that is us. These aspects of our consciousness that we have cut off in order to participate in the smaller reality. I have spoken quite often of this, and the hundreds of transmissions that I've recorded also speak to this. So I'm here, and I am choosing love. I am feeling as if I have emerged from, I have been emerging from the before world, or what I have translated as the false grid over the years. And I feel my feet landing on the natural grid. It isn't a new grid. Even calling it new earth, new sun, as the Maya framed it, new world. Those are just terms, labels. It's something that needs to be felt and experienced directly and communed with in order to receive the data that we need to respond and act and expand into forward, not back into the natural grid, but forward into the natural grid. I've been feeling just a regular pattern of becoming aware that all of my translating of these streaming messages over the years where I am now, more solidly in speaking from the foundation of the natural grid, I'm aware that I'm going to sound less and less sane to those who are committing themselves to the false grid for the next cycle of the false grid. And I realize growth-wise, I had to reach this space of fearlessness, of not being reactionary to judgment and criticism. I am coming to the table now in what I'm sharing as someone who understands the judgment and the criticism, because I have lived on the false grid, and I too had judgments and misunderstandings because I had not expanded my awareness, my connections, my resonant connections with more of myself. And so I was not, while it seemed correct, my perceptions where I was, it changes the more we grow, the more we expand. Perceptions change. And so I understand this, and I have compassion for those who insist on firmly standing on the ground of misunderstanding. The misunderstanding that is, of course, to be expected when you don't know who you are fully. So I'm simply tapping into those feelings of, okay, so everything that you showed me, not necessarily in what you showed me is the way forward, is the resonant inner markers. And to let go of the external markers more and more and more, so that one can reorient their compass, the inner compass, which I have been shown and have referred to as the mother consciousness within. The mother is our compass now, and she helps us to unlock these technologies, these natural technologies within us, so that we can hear and see and respond to this incoming light. Now it might be tempting to jump to the external markers and begin to figure out externally what I'm talking about. And some of those markers may be there. And it may be interesting and engaging to the mental orientation, that which is valued in the false grid. I'm not saying that we shouldn't value it. Of course, we value it. It's just that there's so much more that helps fill in the blanks. What I have found through this contact and my own reorientation process over the years. And now, what I'm doing now is simply sharing it with you in this streaming fashion, in the present moment. I certainly have a story from my past. I've shared everything that I could share about this journey, because that was part of the process, to document everything that came before this moment now. Because I have to let go of it now. I can't hold on to it. I don't have an identity that keeps me attached to that before orientation. So this is a journey in consciousness that is something that I want anyone who listens and who chooses to orient to more of yourself and what you have available to you. This is something well beyond the experience of psychedelics. It's my understanding, having experienced them, and being able to compare within my awareness. Those are great jump starters that are offered and available to people. But that's just it. That's all they are, is jump starters for this journey. If you're drawn to it, if you choose. This journey is one for me that was guided by an inner intelligence that first presented as something external that was trying to contact me. And I have, as I said before, I've documented all of this. So in this moment, I'm back to the dialogue, as I have my pattern from the past is to backstory, to provide context. Well, that's just the thing now, is we're losing our context. The more we expand, the more we lose the context of the old world, and that's why I'm not going to be able to translate to the smaller spectrum orientation anymore, because it will sound insane. So here I am. What I'm feeling in this now moment is love. I am feeling amazed that I'm still here and I'm still talking and I still have this huge energy to talk into this mic. It's not Eileen, it's M. It's the gathering, the harmonizing, the integrating of so much more that I am. And I don't know how this goes. There is no map. Maybe I'm building a map? I'm not sure. All I know is this moment now and what I'm feeling. Because this presence wants nothing more but to know what I am feeling. Because the more I speak what I am feeling, the more we synchronize. And if I were a scientist, I'd be fascinated by these statements. Because there's clues here. This method that was given to me by this inner intelligence that is so loving that you feel it in every cell of your body. This is not a mental projection. This is a direct experience of what people call the divine. And it fills you with, you just know, you feel and you know. And so our emotions, obviously, are more important than we think, right? I'm not the one to explain the science to you. This presence, this guiding presence, informs me and all of us in these messages I've shared that one must get to a stage or phase where one realizes that we cannot wait for science, we cannot wait for any external authority to inform us of the way forward. This is not a judgment. I actually love science. I love the translations that we were given in the limited spectrum. I understand that they're limited. When we rise above our own limitations, we have these breakthroughs in consciousness and we can see and understand that we were designed with technologies that connect us to this universal field, to source. And when we're honest and we speak honestly, this activates. We show up on the radar is how I translated it many years ago. It's how we show up. As long as we continue to cycle inside of something too small for our design, we're not broadcasting, we're not saying, I'm here and I choose love. we're not announcing our visibility. we're not willing to be visible and audible, because in order to participate in a smaller spectrum reality, we must lie. And we have lied so much that we've lied and we've complied with a limited system. Not a judgment. Again, it's not a judgment. It's just what happened. And when we're in this state, this limited state, not using all of our consciousness, we can be manipulated. We can be easily controlled. And I think you can figure out, just from those statements, why we're in the pickle that we're in this limited system. So I am human, and I was born into this system, like many others, to transcend it and talk about the journey to anyone who will hear. Perhaps these are more people that, the kind of people who are on the fringe of the false grid, who have come, who have had their patterns interrupted, let's say, that the system didn't work for them, or they died. They had a near-death experience. They had contact experiences. The variety of transformational experiences that derail you temporarily from the limited system, and you have a moment, an interruption, where you can be, where you're open, and you can receive and perceive something greater than what you were in before. And some of us made that leap, you know. We crossed that threshold. We said yes to it enough that it started to guide us and help us understand more how to rise into our natural state. And it's an ongoing process. I had a dream the other night that showed me, this happens when we have a new phase, a new context, new potentiality. I was essentially shown that humans like me are all over the globe who have had these experiences and have responded to the intelligence and connected to the intelligence and built a relationship, which ultimately we discover is a relationship with the self with a capital S. And we're not so much interested in popular culture convincing anyone of this journey. It took me a long time, let's just say, to realize that my voice about what I'm learning and discovering in consciousness is not something that is necessarily welcomed. There are patterns and grooves in the limited spectrum that are approved It's connected to money. Whether we have, grand divine intentions or not, that's something that messages have spoken about. I don't need to go back. Okay. This is me staying in the now. There is a path. There is an inward journey that leads us. And it requires a lot of trust, but not trust in the kind of like the faith that we're familiar with just trusting some mental projection. What happens is when you engage with the intelligence within, with the light, it will inform you and give you markers in your physiology, in your feelings. And it's the most real thing one can feel. It's like, this is what's been missing. And that's what I've translated as from this intelligence, this love, that this is, this frequency is the mother frequency that is awakening within those who are engaged, actively engaged, willingly engaged in a dialogue. I'm aware in this moment of the history within me of all the different ways I tried to share what I was learning, how I was, what I was calling evolving, an evolving experiencer. And even that term is, nope, that doesn't apply anymore. You're constantly being changed, and the acceleration of it increases. You can't stay with the old terms. You're changing, you're being changed so fast that you're like brought into only the present. And yes, I still have a life where I have appointments and I have tasks that are calendar and time-based. But at this timing, we're holding all of this at the same time. It's not either or. It's fascinating, actually. This is what it means to be in the world, but not of it. When you show up and you say yes to this presence that will guide. If we show up consistently, and in this case, with the tool of the dialogue. Part of me wanted to go back and explain how the dialogue started, but that's already out there. I don't need to repeat myself anymore. That's in my body, that's very draining now. I notice it. I have to stay with the flow of the energy. And the flow is saying, speak from the present moment. Share. What is this like? What does this feel like? What am I seeing? What am I feeling as I navigate, as I sketch out these maps in consciousness? what we were in before is very, very real while you're in it. But when you expand, you grow, you welcome the transformative experiences, your context shifts and changes. And you see. You have the eyes that see and the ears that hear. And there's so many other wise sayings that you just they're revelations. You just go, oh, so this is what that meant. We understood it conceptually. We praised it or rejected it, whatever the case may be, with the wisdom that these other travelers have left inside this limited matrix false grid. And oh, so grateful. I have to express my gratitude to all of the souls that dropped in and left these treasures for us to discover. Not to say, oh, this is the truth and I'm going to now follow this body of wisdom. It's only there to validate you on your journey. And we can celebrate and express our gratitude to those who left these seeds. And there are many for me that I have also spoken about in the past. I just want to say that the extreme joy that you feel when you come across the validating piece that you needed, and whether that comes in ancient materials, or someone that you meet that speaks something. They don't have to be some enlightened being, but they may say something out loud that is a piece of something for you. And so we're grateful also for those synchronistic moments where we receive exactly what we need. But we don't receive it unless we're engaged. And that's the this is the key. and this is what I know now for a fact. For it's demonstrable. I have demonstrated this in my life. When you use your own will to speak the truth about what you're actually feeling and get to, it's the I've translated it as the dig. It's like an archaeological dig in our feelings, to get to newer layers of truth. Because when you first start speaking your truth, it's very superficial. It's very approved truth, from the system. And then you eventually get to, you can feel the life force. It's just like it opens new pockets of life force energy. And that's the mother. That's the mother that's trapped underneath all the lies, all the misunderstandings. And so there isn't anything external anymore that will rescue you. Well, there never was, but at least we could hang on to that perception for longer periods of time. This is what's changing. You're coming into the present moment, as these messages prepared us for since 2004, when I started bringing them through. But they're not popular because they're scary. Because you have to face your fears, which isn't as scary in the end as you think it is. Sorry, I can't help myself. jumping into that supporting information and context. I'm so used to it. So we're being pressed into the present moment now. And what you're seeing externally is what the messages predicted, if you will, that things would get to a place where it's so confusing. You don't know who to believe, what to believe. Everything's chaotic. Everything's changing so fast. And that this is why you needed to be anchored within, so that tethered is the word that I translated, tethered to the divine, tethered to more of yourself, so that you can lift yourself out of this limited orientation. So at this timing, in May of 2024, we need to be identifying with the inner markers that guide us, and there's no. We're so used to being told, by external authority, whether that's a religious authority or a political authority. We're so attached to being told what to do and what to think, that we don't even think about going within and restoring our natural abilities, our natural state. And so it becomes even more important, and this is what my recent dream was about, that we continue, the ones, and you know who you are, the ones who are here to be this and radiate it and model it. It isn't so much about breaking it down and explaining it so much anymore. It's what we're offering. Let's just put it this way. What we're offering is what this presence, these transformational experiences for us, what was offered to us, and we had our patterns interrupted. The world is getting their patterns interrupted now. So you are having an experience now. You're an experiencer now. And we had our experiences and continue, but our initially jarring experiences years ago, there's no one set path, but some of us have been doing this our whole lives. Patterns interrupted, adjust. Patterns interrupted, adjust. Whatever the force or source of that interruption was and how we interpreted it, it evolves, it changes, and we begin to understand more why it happened. So now we're here, and we have bridged the gap between what we were in before and what we're expanding into now. And many people are just now getting their lives interrupted, whether that's through weather, well, let's just say all kinds of erratic weather, whether that's actual earth weather or political weather, religious institution weather, whatever, you're just getting it interrupted, and you're like, what? I thought this was real. It's not real. What's happening? Right? So this is what we went through way back then, when nobody wanted to hear about it. Nobody cared. We were crazy. Well, now the collective is in the crazy. Now you're in your crazy. And we're here to say, listen, just frame it in a way that is empowering. And here's the empowering way to frame this. You have an opportunity in this gap as you get derailed from what you thought was real, as this old system, this old framework collapses. You have an opportunity to tether to the truth of who you actually are and what you're connected to on a universal level. So it's the same kind of framework, the experiencer, interruption, engage with something greater than the system that you were in before. And you will find that there is a source within you, there is a light, there is love with a capital L, all of this with capital letters, not in terms of what you were in before. That's too small. It's too small. You were designed to be more than that. And so this love is calling us forward into something that is true, even though the system you were in before will tell you that's insane. And that's okay. It's up to you. As I was saying yesterday in a group, one of the earlier messages said you're gonna find, you get to choose your crazy is what the translation was. This is where you are. Choose your crazy now. You're going to stick with that system that disregards your sovereignty, your power, your light, because of a fear of what people will think, a fear of letting go of something that is abusive. There's that analogy too. You're in an abusive relationship. Will you use your will to transcend it? And I know there are lots of people who can identify with that experience, including myself. So the dialogue for me, back to the dialogue, has evolved to the point where I simply share what I'm feeling and I connect to the field. And this is me speaking with the integrating greater aspects of me and this in the larger view of what's actually going on here and what's possible. This is every bit of this that I will share. If this becomes a series, I don't know. I don't know anything because I'm always listening and responding to this greater voice within me. It's not about me. It's about an intention on so many levels of my consciousness that I'm bridging to and I'm bringing through so that I can help model this, to provide an example of the possibilities. Also, I know that there are others like me because the dream showed this to me recently. I know you're out there. I know that you've had your own journey and you have found your resonance. And when you hear me speak, You may be finding resonance, and maybe the particulars don't line up. We don't need the particulars to line up. This is resonance. This is our natural state. This is how we commune. And don't let anyone tell you that the body is a meat sack and worthless. It is not. It is one of the most valuable gifts that you were given to navigate through this. Your body helps you to navigate. You will need your body. Therefore, you will need to be in your body. To hear. To hear the mother. Rejoining with the Father. This is the restoration. This is what's possible. There are other options. Perhaps many different parallel options. Again, I'm not the scientist. I'm not the explainer of those things. I'm the demonstrator of what you have within you. And your reward is the sustenance, the grace that fills your being and lifts you into greater and greater context, greater views of the truth, of who you are and who everyone is around you, whether they're aware of it or not. So I just want to close this first, perhaps, of a series. I don't know, kind of getting glimpses of that, but I never attach to anything, so it is what it is, as they say. So I just want to close with a thank you to all of those who are here, who have been primarily doing this on their own, feeling alone with all of it. Back and forth between trusting and yes, this is real, this is real, this is real, and then you get sucked back in to the old system. Or you develop these crazy coping mechanisms, just to bide my time until whatever, because I don't know, nobody's telling me, but I feel these things inside, and I have dreams, and I have downloads, and I have experiences that lift me into it, and then I try to hold it myself and try to tell other people about it, and they think I'm crazy, and so I fall back down. Listen, I know the journey, and I just want to say, I see you, and this presence is real. It's okay to let go of everything from the past now and rise into this now, where you will be informed of how you can best serve, how you can best help by radiating, emanating love. And you're not going to get it laid out for you. There's no one coming who's going to say, okay, here's how it's going to go. Here's your job. And, you go here and you go there. No. You've been developing through your life experiences and your connections with something more. You have been preparing for this time. And you are the one that is going to manifest it, create it, build it, not based on the old foundation. How is this created anew? Truthfully, with your body, in an empowered state, with the mother, consciousness activated. We get to find out. And so, no more comparisons. Every single human that is on the planet now has this potential, and this can be unlocked within anyone. I'm simply addressing the front runners, the ones who were willing to come here and to be unlocked. As uncomfortable as all of that was, still, if you're being truthful, you have had some doses of love and joy and excitement. And I just want to say that's the real world, our natural state. We're coming out of an unnatural state. So let's help each other out by sharing these markers with each other. And that's how it goes exponential. So I thank you for listening, whoever hears this. This is me responding to the guidance. Feeling the love within me now and responding to it by smiling. You can't see me smiling. I'm just feeling so grateful for this connection, for this microphone, this potential connection with you. This is now.
Walk me through this, don't leave me alone.